I'm Tom Rawlings with Homegrown Leadership. You know, most churches I talk to want to grow. They want to reach more people. Most pastors I talk with feel that they have a message that they want people to hear, that they think people need to hear. And as Christians, we do have a message that people need to hear. The gospel is something that we need to reach more people with. Sadly, though, statistically, most churches are not growing. Over 80% of churches in the U.S. are either plateaued or even declining. Churches just don't grow. There are a couple of things we can do to help churches grow, but there are a couple of things we need to look at too when we're talking about growth. You know, a barrier is kind of a plateau. And one of the things I want to talk about today is the 80% rule. If your church is 80% full, then your church is perceived as being full by those who visit. You know, I remember once my wife and I were considering joining a gym, and we drove over to check it out, and when we pulled into the parking lot, there were very few parking places available. So what we did was we turned around and left, because we figured if we couldn't find a place to park, that place was probably pretty packed. We'll never know for sure whether it really was full because we didn't even check it out. And you know, the same thing happens to your church. If people pull in your parking lot and your parking lot is 80% full, your visitors are going to perceive that your church is full. I know several years ago, we ran into a period of time at our church where we were plateaued and we really couldn't figure out why. The sanctuary just wasn't filling up. The first service was doing well, but the second service just didn't seem to be filling up. And one morning I took a walk out into the parking lot to check with one of our parking attendants out there, and I noticed that the parking lot was full, and literally full. There were no spaces available to park in. Well, that created a problem. We had room in our sanctuary for more people to attend, but we didn't have any room in our parking lot for people to attend. So keep in mind, when people pull into your parking lot, they need to have space to park in, obviously. Check out your parking lot. Take a look at your parking lot. If it is 80% full, and that's a rule of thumb. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it's a rule of thumb. If your guests perceive that your parking lot is full, then to them it's full. Many of them will just turn around and drive off and not even check out the church. You know, this 80% rule also applies to, as I mentioned, the sanctuary. If your sanctuary is 80% full, then your guests are going to perceive that there really isn't a place for them to sit. People don't generally like to sit right up next to other people. They usually leave a couple of spaces between them unless they really know each other, or they don't have an option. They don't have a choice. So when your guests come in, if they perceive that your sanctuary is full, then it's full. And many of them will not come back because they think the church is full. You know, one of the things we've seen in churches as well is with classrooms. One of the ways that we use growth in churches is to start up discipleship classes, Sunday school classes. It's a great way to attract and keep younger people as well, to get them engaging with some of the older people and give them an opportunity to the two generations to interact with each other. But what we've seen is a lot of churches will try to cram more people into a class, and to them they increase attendance by increasing the number of people who attend each class. The problem with that is that 80% rule still applies. Once that classroom space is about 80% full, then to people attending that class, it's full. So the way to grow is not to have more people in attendance at each class. The way to grow is to offer more classes. So one of the things that you can do as well when we're talking about discipleship classes, Sunday school classes, is create multi-use space. Use the rooms and use the classes for more than one thing. For example, at our church, we have a class at our early service and a class at our later service, and we use the same room. Actually, one of the rooms we use for this is the youth room on Wednesday nights. So we multi-use these rooms for different purposes at different times. The other thing that you can do is, as you grow larger, grow smaller. What I mean by that is, people are only going to know about, in any church, statistically about 70 people is going to be their circle of friends. As you grow larger, the way to connect people is to grow smaller. If you don't have small groups, start a small group program. Small groups are a great way for people to connect, to interact with each other. And again, as you grow larger, you grow smaller through these smaller groups, and they connect with each other. Well, that's a few tips for today. We'll follow up with a little more information and more tips later on in this series on church growth. If you have any questions, please contact us at Homegrown Leadership. Visit our website at homegrownleadership.com. Please subscribe to our channel here if you like what you see. And we hope that you've enjoyed this. And if there's anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate to contact us. For Homegrown Leadership, I'm Tom Rawlings.